When thinking about shared reading in a classroom, it's really important to consider how technology can impact on that. And most recently, there's been a lot of resources around for interactive books, both in the Mac sense of the iPad and now the App Store itself on the new Lion OS. And also online, there's a real great deal out there already that are interactive texts that we could use for story time. But obviously story time is more than just sharing a story, unfortunately. It's also about learning to read and sharing skills such as prediction and interpretation. So how can we make sure that we don't lose the moment to pause and discuss and analyse when we have an interactive text in front of us? Well, what if we couple it with some interactive whiteboard software? In this video, I'm going to explore or just demonstrate to you some methods that I think just basic things that we could use Notebook for. Then I'll show you the same thing again in Promethean's Active Inspire and in EasyCheats Next Generation, so you can see how it would work in all three of the major brands. Please feel free to comment. I would be really interested to hear about this. I'm working on the Teaching Teachers for the Future project at the moment, and this is forming part of that research and thinking about how technology is going to change or is changing the way in which we deliver content. So enjoy. Okay, firstly, I'm on mightybook.com, and this is Stuttering Stan audio book and interactive book. What I'm doing here is taking a snapshot of the front cover because we're going to need to pause and talk about this, and unfortunately this interactive book doesn't give us the opportunity to do that. It lets me pause it when we get to the next page, but not on the front. So now I've taken that screenshot, I'm just going to wait for it to move forward. The screenshot is covering the next bit. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to move back into Notebook software. So once I'm in here, I can then resize that image to make it as large as I like, and I've still got a good quality there to do that with. I can then use the special pen that we have in 10.7. Sorry, I can use the highlighter to point out things. I can use the special pen in 10.7 to draw and let it fade, and of course to activate things like the spotlight, which we can use to zoom in and do close interpretation of things, or to point out the author, the title, etc. I can also use that pen to zoom in, so if we want to look at what we think the story is and the predictions here, we can use the pen to zoom in on the characters on the front of the book and look at their facial expressions and come up with some reasons about why he might be taking a stand. There's another example here of that over the other character as we look at his cheeky grin and his eye patch and talk about what kind of character we might think he is. I'm just going to use the spotlight tool here to just point out things in the background. So we wouldn't necessarily do all of this at the same time. I'm just trying to demonstrate a few different techniques that you can use here using Notebook, just on the fly while we're reading. Of course, we can highlight, annotate, we can make notes of the things that the children are coming up with in relation to the characters. So we've got a record of their work there, and the annotations and conversations can be used for assessment and for evidence. So in terms of the earlier ACARA strands for literature, where we're looking at saying why we like a book, making predictions and comprehension skills, this kind of thing could be quite a useful tool for establishing a new assessment task later on, or just recording our thoughts as we go. So when I'm done, I can go to a clean page, put myself back into transparent background mode so I can see the book. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to see the whole thing, so I'm going to use the screen shade to just hide half. Because I'm still in transparent mode, I still have the option to write over the top and continue to annotate the book and to do close reading of the actual images before we look at the text. So just adding an extra dimension there to what we might do in conversation. Seeing who the characters are and what we think might be happening. And then I can start either using that as a method to read line by line, or I can get rid of it now and I can play the book. Obviously we've got the added addition of sound, and in a moment you'll see that the interactive book lights up words as we read. Now, as a teacher, we're not going to have to focus so much on our reading voice because that's all done for us, but we have got to focus still on what it is we're trying to achieve here. So when he's finished reading, we've got these options on the side to stop at any time. So we'll stop, and then we can start looking at those words, and we can either write directly on the page and look at why it looks like that, what that suggests about his emotions, etc. So what you're going to see now here, speeded up, is first of all Easy Teach doing exactly the same thing using what's known as glass mode. It also has spotlights, it also has revealers, it also has the ability to take snapshots and to write. And then you're going to see Active Inspire. I'm going to show you that in desktop mode, desktop annotate mode, so that you still have all your pen tools on the side. And I'll demonstrate using the snapshot tool in that, or the camera tool, demonstrate using its spotlight and its revealer, its blind, its shade, and also the ability to annotate over the top of the book. So using these in conjunction with an interactive text means that you actually get a little bit more scope to explore a few writing skills and a few literature skills, and also create evidence for them. So just a few ideas there to link the two things together. Again, I'd love to hear your comment.